All right, old school NBA fans, self-researched NBA facts. I got another video here for you. Again, thanks to anybody who watches my videos, subscribes to my channel. I really appreciate it. Recently hit 1,000 subscribers. Just wanted to say thanks to all you guys. I see the comments have been increasing a lot lately. I love the interaction. I don't expect everybody to agree with every single thing I say. Believe me, I don't. So I don't mind some pushback or question like, hey, could you go in detail about something? And if I can, I will. If I have time to do it, I absolutely will try to expand on a thought or whatever. No problem. So yeah, don't hesitate to ask me to do that. Like I said, most of the time I get back to most of you guys, but sometimes I just run out of time. I've got a semi-busy life like anybody else. But in this video here, when I was doing my rankings, I had a lot of criterias, and this was something I used, and it's kind of something I wanted to elaborate on a little bit, because to me this was one of the ones that I kind of leaned on a lot, like for. It was one of the criterias that I gave a lot of power to. Obviously, I think the number one was, how you did in your chances to win, and this falls directly right into that. So what I'm looking at here is how many times was a player a number one seed, okay? And then how many times did you win the championship? Now obviously that's not always going to happen. Sometimes people will be the 2 seed, even the 3 seed, and they'll win a championship. Sure. But it should even out. You should be somewhere near even. So being a number one seed, no, it does not guarantee victory. There's so many factors that go into things. Off the top of my head, the 2001 Spurs were the number one seed. But the Lakers were clearly the better team that year because they had some injuries, people missed some games. They probably would end up winning 60 to 63 games. That's when I looked at it, that's what I projected they would have won if everybody was healthy. Somewhere in there would have firmly put them the 1 seed, and they weren't. The Spurs were. So yeah, you can put a little context on this. This isn't gospel, but again, when some of these numbers are, just irrefutable, like, whoa. Anyway, some of the guys that aren't in my top 25 that I was seriously considering in my top 25, like Dirk Nowitzki, he was one of the guys I took a look at. He was only the number one seed once in his whole career. I didn't know that either. It was in 2007. And he didn't win it, but he did win a championship. So he was number one seed once. He won 1 championship. So that is even. So, that's good. Being even is good. If you can win a championship as many times as you were a 1 seed, that's excellent. Anything even or above is good. Rick Barry, I counted his ABA stuff. He was 2 for 4, which not great, but it's not great. Elvin Hayes, a guy who was like the most durable player. I mean, he basically didn't miss any games his whole career. He got really high marks, but some of his other stuff just fell flat. But he was only a 1 seed 1 time, and he won 1 championship. So again, that's good, absolutely. Charles Barkley was only a 1 seed 1 time, never won a championship. That was '93 on the Suns. Dwayne Wade, he was only a 1 seed twice, and I think that was in 2005 and 2013. I think are the only 2 times he's a 1 seed, but he won 3 championships. So he would have been a +1. And +1 is excellent. That's really good. Of course, he played with Shaq, and anybody who thinks that Shaq was washed in 2005, go look at what Shaq finished in MVP in 2005. Please do me this one indulgence. Look up what Shaq did in 2005 for MVP, and you tell me that he's washed. Yeah. Okay, so now we'll get into my top 25 players. Nikola Jokic has only been the number 1 seed one time. He won the title. It was that year. It was last year, 23. Giannis has been the number 1 seed twice. He's only got 1 championship, so he's a -1. So being -1 is not good. You know, I'm not saying it's like a huge black mark, but the farther you get away from at least being an even number, the worse it is. Prime example is number 23, Elgin Baylor. He was a number 1 seed 5 times. Of course, they had tough finals competition, Boston in the 60s, but, you know, the same rules apply to everybody. You can add context to this stuff, no doubt about it, you know. Anyway, Baylor lost all 5. He never won a championship, so he's a -5. You can add a lot of context saying, well, they were always playing the superior team in the finals. True. But regardless, he's -5. David Robinson was the number 1 seed 4 times, won 2 championships, so he's a -2. And I remember this was one of the things that held him back. You know, it's remarkable how one series or a couple wins can totally change the fortunes of players. You know, like if David Robinson were to win that championship in 95, let's say he beats Houston and then they go on to beat Orlando, let's just say that happens. He gets a championship as the undoubted best player on that team. Because in 99, Duncan was still the best player, I'm sure, you know, but Robinson was a major factor in 99. Let's not kid ourselves. But if he would have won that and given him a 3rd championship, one as the best player, yeah, Robinson is moving way up the list. I mean, he's in the top 15, maybe even a little more than that. I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, it's crazy how just, you know, a couple wins here and win this series completely change a player's, you know, how we look at him. But either way, Robinson is -2. Bob Pettit is going to be similar to like Elgin Baylor. 5 times he was the number 1 seed. He won 1 championship, so he's a -4. He ran into Boston too, and that was the earlier years in the 50s when they were even better. At least Baylor had a chance. I mean, hell, they were the number 1 seed. They were favored, I think, in 69 for sure, but lost. But anyway, Pettit did beat Boston the one time. Yeah, Russell was hurt half that series, but still, he did win it. But he's a -4. That's a high number. Number 20, Kevin Durant. I didn't realize this, but he was only the number 1 seed twice in his whole career so far. I thought it was more than that, but nope, it's only twice. He won 2 titles, so he's even. Now, granted, yes, he joined, you know, the best team in the league at the time, so, you know, that one doesn't hold as much weight. Number 19, Kevin Garnett. He was the number 1 seed twice. I believe that was in 04 and 08. 1 championship, but he is a -1. Karl Malone was the number 1 seed twice, 97, 98. Did not win either one. 0 for 2, he's a -2. You know, it is what it is. George Mikan got one of the more favorable scores on here. He was only the number 1 seed 3 times, but he won 5 titles. So he's a +2. That's the highest number we've seen so far. Everybody else is either even or negative. That's really good, you know, and part of the reason why I had Mikan in the top 20. My only thing against Mikan, and I know Dart from Michael Jordan Fans Are the Best loves George Mikan. My only thing with Mikan was he just didn't have a long enough career. He just didn't. It was not long enough for me. You know, if it would have been 10 years, you know, if he would have played another 3 years and just put up really good numbers, I would have had Mikan higher, but it's just not enough of a sample size. The guy didn't even play in his 30s at all. I need a little more from George Mikan. I mean, I got him at 17, but I needed more from him. You know, he just didn't play enough for me. And you don't need to play 20 years. You play that 10, 12-year range, that's a career. You know, 15 years, that's all fine and good, but it's not necessary for me. It's not. 20 years, definitely not necessary, but if you can sustain it at a high level, sure, that's great. That'll be a factor for you. Number 16, Oscar Robertson. He was number 1 seed 3 times. He won 1 title, so he's a -2. Steph Curry, he was the number 1 seed 3 times. That would have been 15, 16, and 17. He won 4 titles. He's a +1. I could talk all day about how Steph Curry's career needs a ton of context, but I won't dive into it. Number 14, Moses Malone. He was only the number 1 seed one time. That was 1983, and he did win the title. And that's why Moses should not be moved outside the top 15. You got to have Moses top 15. He didn't have a ton of these chances that people think he did. You know, he was on Houston Rockets for the early part of his career until he joined Philly, and then they just routed the league when they had that super team in '83. And then in a couple years after that, they made Eastern Conference Finals, but they just never could get back. And then he ended up going to the Bullets, I think, in '87, and it just never materialized for Moses other than that, 83. And he had that great run in '81. One of the best runs in NBA history was the 1981 Houston Rockets. Look that run up. It was impressive. He was a 40-42 team. As far as I know, that's the only team, at least since the merger, who was under 500 that made the finals. 81 Rockets. Number 13, Jerry West. 6 times number 1 seed, only 1 title. He's a -5, like his teammate Elgin Baylor. He had chances though. Like I said, the '69 Lakers, they should have beat Boston. They were definitely the better team, but they just didn't. It's 1970 against the Knicks. They had a chance, They had a shot. Didn't happen. Even '68, the Lakers had a good team. I think that one went 7. '62, if Rudy LaRusso hits that baseline jumper, they beat Boston, but he missed. Number 12, Dr. J. I included his ABA. 4 times number 1 seed. He won 3 championships. He's only a -1. -1 isn't terrible at all. I mean, it's not even or positive, but it's not bad. Number 11, LeBron James. Same thing. He was a number 1 seed 5 times. He won 4 titles. He's a -1. It's not terrible, but it's just not, on the level of some of these other guys. Shaquille O'Neal, number 10. 4 times the number 1 seed. 4 times he won a championship. Now, he should have been the number 1 seed in '01 had everybody been healthy and all that kind of stuff, but that's not what happened. So I got to put him at even. That's how it is. Number 9, Tim Duncan. 7 times he was the number 1 seed. That's the most on this list so far. He won 5 championships, but he's a -2. That's how it is for old Duncan. He had 7 times he was the number 1 seed. I think it's more impressive if you can win, well, maybe not more, but if you can be the number 1 seed, meaning you were the best team the whole year in your conference, then you were the best team in the whole playoffs, that season to me is more powerful than if you were the 2 seed and then you won the championship. It just is for me. Or if you were the number 1 seed and you got all the way to the championships, lose the finals in Game 7, that's not the same. You know what I mean? Like if you're the number 1 seed, clearly the best, especially if you're the number 1 overall seed, and then you win, go through and win the championship, like the '83 76ers, like I was talking about. That's a historic, great season right there. Anyway, Duncan's a -2. That's how it is. Number 8, Hakeem Olajuwon. A big reason why I hold this guy in such high esteem. Never a number 1 seed. 0 times. Only person on this whole list who was never a number 1 seed but won 2 championships, giving him a +2. People like to crap on Olajuwon because he only won 2 championships. The guy was never even a 1 seed. He had some injuries, but his team just wasn't that great. And he played in a pretty tough conference for the majority of his career. The exception of maybe a first 2 or 3 years, it was really just the Lakers. But still, the damn Showtime Lakers are in your way, and he did manage to beat them once. The only team to beat the Lakers from 1982 to 1989, an 8-year period, only the '86 Rockets beat the Lakers in that span. Again, another reason why I hold Hakeem in high esteem. Number 7, Wilt Chamberlain. 5 times number 1 seed, 2 titles. So if you're 5 times number 1 seed, you won 2 titles, you're a -3. Not good. Another thing that always holds Wilt back. Number 6, Larry Bird. 8 times the number 1 seed, only 3 championships. A -5. Again, another reason why he's outside my top 5. This is one of those reasons. Number 5, Kareem. Easily, by far, the most number 1 seed appearances. 13 times the number 1 seed. He won 6 championships for a -7, the highest on this list. I mean, it's going to be the highest on this list. Even though he won 6 championships, he left 7 other number 1 seed opportunities on the table. That's part of the reason why I think Kareem has been overrated. I don't want to say severely, but he's definitely overrated. Number 4, Kobe Bryant. 4 times the number 1 seed, 5 championships, +1. That's excellent. Again, I think in 01 he should have been the number 1 seed, but that's not how it is. He's +1, and that's one of the better scores on this list. Number 3, Magic Johnson. 10 times the number 1 seed, 5 championships, -5. He did leave 5 on the table. He had very fierce, tough finals competition, but either way, he was the number 1 seed 10 times. He won 5 championships. He's a -5. Bill Russell, 9 times number 1 seed, won 11 championships, +2. Incredible. That's why Russell's my number 2, part of it. Number 1, Michael Jordan. 5 times number 1 seed, won 6 championships. He's a +1. And just to give a recap, the only players who were positive was George Mikan, +2. Hakeem Olajuwon, +2. Kobe Bryant, I missed one. Steph Curry, +1. Kobe Bryant, +1. Bill Russell, +2. Michael Jordan, +1. That's it. That's all the players that won more times than they were the number 1 seed. To me, that's an impressive thing. But anyway, yeah, leave your thoughts in the comments, and that's it for now. Thanks for watching.